Thanks for joining us. We take a look at your work week forecast for September 11th through the 15th. And this is going to kind of be a two-part forecast because we're going to focus on the work week, which has some interesting weather in it. But then we're going to talk a little bit about initial thoughts on Lee, which won't affect us till next weekend. If it affects us at all, that's not a guarantee, but it's definitely going to be in the vicinity and bear some watching as in a worst case scenario, which is not likely at all at this point, but is possible. It could be a high impact event. So anyways, we need to just kind of keep an eye on it. You'll have additional videos from me this week as we do that as well. So keep an eye out for those. Make sure you're following me on social media and things like that. Make sure you don't miss those videos. Subscribe on YouTube to make sure if you don't miss those videos. All right, so what's going on? We get a long ways before we got to deal with Lee. First, we're going to do the work week forecast, and at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about Lee, and then we'll focus on it more as we head throughout the week. So what's going on today? Well, first of all, we're still in the soup that we have been in for a long period, and particularly it's gotten very soupy. And when I say soupy, I mean it's very humid, it's very kind of muggy and just sticky, especially as the clouds have come in. The dew points kind of stay where they are and temperatures don't go up. And at least when the temperature goes up, you get a little bit of a difference between the temperature and the dew point. So when it's warmer, but it feels a little less oppressive in some ways. These are some of the kind of worst kind of days. Tomorrow won't be too bad because it'll be dry and it will still be humid, but it won't feel quite as kind of gross like this. Wednesday will feel like this again, but then finally we are going to actually clear this air mass out. It's just been stuck with us for a while here. So what's going on today? You can see we've got some clouds. We'll look at radar here in a little bit. There's definitely some showers there with a leftover frontal boundary that's sort of been stuck with us all weekend, which has given us showers and thunderstorms basically each day this weekend. Saturday, we mostly avoided them in southern Vermont, but every other day basically. And here is our actual front, and again, kind of a secondary one. They're going to kind of catch up to each other and swing through on Wednesday, and you can kind of see there's a sliver of pretty nice weather in between. That's what's headed our way for tomorrow. And then behind that, we get into some nicer air as well. So we're going to kind of have on again, off again weather. Nice day today, or not a nice day today. Rain, showers, kind of off and on, pretty heavy rain at times. Nice day tomorrow. Rain, pretty good slugger rain as a front moves through on Wednesday. Nice day Thursday. Nice day Friday, although by Friday we might be starting to get some high clouds from Lee. At least clouds as it makes its way. No rain yet by Friday, but we'll have to we'll get there. So, all right, let's take a look at radar. You can see a decent amount of, we kind of have a wave of low pressure that's moving up along the front today. That's why, and it was, as a couple of them have, which is what gave us the enhanced rainfall yesterday. It's going to give us some more rain today. I'll take a closer in look. But you can kind of see we have this stalled front that's been there forever. And then we kind of have a series of fronts here. They're going to kind of consolidate and sweep through. And finally bring us rain, but also bring us a change in air mass for the first time in a while. We're going to get more Canadian air in here instead of like all this Gulf air that has kind of flooded north across the eastern part of the United States. This is also going to play an important role in exactly how Lee gets redirected, although it won't actually sweep Lee away with it, which is what we would probably really prefer it do. And then we're going to have to kind of wait and see what the next trough behind does in terms of actually directing Lee. All right, so let's take a look. Closer in first, and then we'll look at Wednesday's map. So closer in here, you can see, right now actually southern Vermont here is at about 6 o'clock in the morning or so is not really getting impacted that much by the rain, but there's lots of heavier downpours around, and we're definitely going to get some of that throughout the day today. Really, by late afternoon, this should start to be clearing through. I don't think we'll see any sun. We will clear out overnight tonight, and we're looking at 3/4 of an inch to about an inch of rain, enough to kind of keep things saturated. We have dried out a little bit, but we are going to kind of saturate the ground today. And then again on Wednesday, that's another reason to be a little concerned about Lee, because rain would always be the biggest impact from Lee. And we are going to have some rain that happens this week. So the kind of flooding potential pump will be primed. Again, that's not saying it's going to happen. Please don't take this to say that it's going to happen. It's just one of these things we have to be sort of preparing for the potential of it happening. Right now, it's still, I would say, less likely than likely to happen, but it's definitely not out of the woods. So, all right, Wednesday morning, here's our front heading through. This will be kind of a slug of rain, probably less off and on like it's been today, and more kind of a slug that comes through over a few hours during the middle of the day. Will be cloudy on either side of that. There could be some showers out ahead of it and some showers as the front kind of moves through. But basically, anytime Wednesday, there's an opportunity for showers. maybe a rumble of thunder, although probably this is just heavier downpours. This system will probably bring about 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter. Some spots might see an inch and a half of rain out of this. Again, not enough right now to cause any issues, but definitely kind of enough to keep the ground very saturated. All right, so we're going to look at the actual forecast. Like I said, we're going to look at Lee afterwards. So today, rain, temperature is about 70 degrees. It'll feel sticky, muggy, kind of gross again after starting off in the mid 60s because the humidity is just so warm. It doesn't allow temperatures to go down, even though we've got a decent amount of nighttime now that we're into September. Tomorrow is pretty warm, not quite as warm as it was last week, but still it's going to feel pretty warm. Somewhat muggy. It's not going to feel quite as oppressive tomorrow in terms of the mugginess, just because we get a little bit of sun after starting off at about 63. Wednesday's our last day of this kind of air mass that we're stuck in now with all the humidity and the mugginess. Temperatures in the low 70s, rain moves through, and by evening you're starting to feel a different air mass. It's going to feel drier out there. Thursday is a really, really nice day, actually. If you want to get a chance to get outside on Thursday, we're going to dry out some. Temperatures in the upper 60s, dew points way down in the 40s. It'll feel dry and kind of crisp after starting off in temperatures below 50 degrees for the first time in a long time. And then on Friday, kind of a repeat of Thursday with some more clouds, particularly high clouds as Lee starts to approach us. And I've got Lee over here because we're really talking weekend before we'd be dealing with Lee. So let's look at the highlights of this week. This is just the work week. Like I said, right after this, normally we'd be done with the forecast after this, but right after this, I'm going to do a little discussion on Lee. There'll be more of that to come. All right, rain, heavy at times throughout the day. Today, 3/4 of an inch to about an inch of rain. Tuesday is dry, but the humidity continues with a mix of sun and clouds. Wednesday brings rain, heavy at times with a slow moving front, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter of rain. Thursday, our first day without humidity in over a week, probably a week and a half since we haven't kind of been in this air mass that we're in. And Friday brings high clouds and all eyes start to turn towards Lee. So speaking of Lee, let's actually talk a little bit about it. Here's a satellite view. Here's Lee out still east and just sort of northeast of Puerto Rico, long, long ways away from us. That's why we've got a whole week to work to look at Lee. Lee has kind of been a forecasting challenge from the beginning. It rapidly intensified all the way up to a Cat 5 hurricane, and then shear, which was not modeled at all, basically started to impact it and kind of has held its strength. Still a strong Category 3 hurricane, and it's actually undergone some re-strengthening, although again, it looks like there's a little bit of shear impacting it at the moment, kind of keeping it from racing back up towards Category 4, Category 5 status. But it is a decent-sized hurricane and a decent and still got plenty of energy associated with it. And what it's going to do is it's continuing on its northwesterly trajectory. And then this front, which will impact us on Wednesday in the trough, is going to start to lift it to the north. But the trough is going to swing through and it's going to kind of sneak under the trough, it looks like. Now, this has kind of been what's changed in the forecast. Before that, trough kind of stalled and it kind of headed north and eventually, and it looked like it was really going to hit Nova Scotia or maybe even make an exit to the right of Nova Scotia. But it slowed down enough, probably partially due to this unforecasted shear, that now it looks like it might kind of sink under the trough and then kind of move north and then wiggle back to the northwest. Now, how far it does that, too early to tell the details on that next trough. There's just not enough modeling data, and it's a pretty subtle change. We'll have to look at it just each day throughout the week, but that could move it back towards the northwest, and that's when it makes an approach at us. Now, here in southern Vermont, it's very unlikely that it's going to make a track where we get anywhere near the center of the storm. If you're in eastern New England, that's a whole different story. Anywhere from the Cape and the islands up the coast of Maine, and really even into New Hampshire, the New Hampshire seacoast, and even inland a little bit there. You got to be a little bit more concerned about like wind issues and things like that. It will have certainly weakened by then, but it will be a big storm, and certainly coastal issues will be a potential with this. For us, though, the question is how far does that rain shield get? And right now, it looks like the modeling we've got right now does give us some showers, kind of some very peripheral effects from it. But the trend has been westward, and how far that northwest jog goes, and even if it happens, is definitely something to keep an eye on. We're not anywhere near being able to actually tell that yet. So I did want to go kind of to those highlights. So I think the best way to before we get to patrons, I did just kind of give you the highlights of what I think right now we can kind of talk about. So many days out, lots of uncertainty. However, it is close enough. It needs to be monitored. Like I said, I'll probably have a forecast out. I'll probably do a forecast specifically on it tomorrow. And then Wednesday, I'll probably do an updated forecast on it and maybe talk a little bit about the front moving through. But basically, you're going to get a forecast from me just about every morning this week because I just think it's worth keeping an eye on. Impacts, if there are any, would be late Saturday into Sunday. That's kind of the time frame on it. So again, still 6 days out. As of the moment, we are west of the significant impacts according to the long-range models, or just on the western fringes of them. But that needs to be watched because the model trends have been westward, particularly this jog to the left, jog to the west on the models, which has not really been forecast, which is beginning to be forecast. There's been some hints of it before, but and the interaction with these troughs is hard to figure out. Rain would be the main concern. Almost always is with tropical systems here in inland, as we're inland in southern Vermont, where we've, especially with already having gotten 1.5 to 3 inches of rain this week, we've been obviously wet all summer. We're going to have to just keep an eye on it. Right now, I think I'm still not overly concerned. So I don't think you should be overly concerned either, but I do think you should be aware of what's going on and keeping an eye on it because it is definitely something that would give the potential for some issues next weekend. Hopefully, the jog to the west doesn't materialize, or if it does, it doesn't jog that much to the west. Ideally, it would get hooked out and go out to sea south of Nova Scotia, and no land would get impacted. Right now, that doesn't look overly likely, but that would be obviously be ideal. So I want to thank my patrons who help support what I do here. Like I said, I will be back a bunch this week. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel before, you really should, because it'll help make sure that you don't miss the videos, especially the in-between videos. I know a lot of you are ready to look for them on Mondays and on Fridays, but when weather gets interesting, I am obviously putting out more videos than that. And so also you can follow me on social media. I post all the videos to social media. If you have questions, you can certainly ask them on social media. I'm not as good as I should be on social media, so I don't always get back to people as quickly as I should. But I will be a little bit more active this week as the weather's interesting and try to keep an eye on things and answer questions if you've got them. All right. Thanks for supporting the channel. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow morning with probably a more detailed look at specifically at Lee. And then probably each morning with at least some sort of an update. This will be the longest video probably because it included the work week forecast. But after this, I'll have some videos as well. Certainly, I'll be back on Friday with your weekend forecast. By then, we'll have hopefully a good idea of what's going to happen with Lee. And my patrons always get a Wednesday forecast of the weekend. And so if you're interested in some of the other advantages as well, you can get by becoming a patron and help support the channel. You can check out the link in the description below. All right, we'll be back tomorrow.